I think the big storyline that we can talk about when it comes to the UFC 297 is the judges. Now, the card itself was not very entertaining or was very exciting.
Raquel, when you fight, everybody's sleeping. Everybody's sleeping when you fight.
We were expecting a lot better of a card, but the big story is how fucking stupid these three buffoons are. These judges have been questionable every single fight card. And I'm not even talking about the main event. The main event was super close between Dricus du Plessis and Sean Strickland. I got absolutely demolished in my comments about my Sean Strickland breakdown because I was going for Sean Strickland and everyone got mad because it was a bunch of South Africans going for Dricus du Plessis. And I understand that. That's your guy. That's your wonder boy. But let me just say this. That fight was close and it was a wonderful fight to say the least. But I think the biggest issue is how stupid these judges are. The fight itself was a super close one. I'm not even talking about the main event. I want to talk about Roman Tavares versus City. City was winning that fight. I mean, 3 rounds of pressuring and landing the better shots than Roman Tavares. For 100% of the media and 100% of reporters and Dana and all these guys saying that Roman Tavares did not win that fight. For 3 fucking judges to declare it for Roman, how does that make sense? How do we give Roman Tavares his win money and City not his win money when 100% of the people outside of those 3 buffoons thought that City won the fight? And Roman ended up walking away with it even though City won that fight. I don't get it. And how do you take away someone's win money for that? You expect these UFC fighters to give it their all, and they're fighting for their family and everything. And because of 3 stupid motherfuckers, you're telling me they will lose half their fucking purse because of 3 stupid motherfuckers? That just makes no sense, and I think that has to be addressed in some way, shape, or form. I personally love the 10-point must system. I love 10-9, 10-9, 10-8, 10-8. If you're Jasmine Jazz Divisius, it's 10-7. What a fucking monster she is. But I think the overall judging criteria needs to change, and it is changing in the right direction, which is damage trumps all. There is nothing about getting a takedown that you do no significance with, meaning that if I take you down and I just hold you there, I won't win that round. I won't get anything unless there is nothing else going on in that round. I love that. I love the fact that you actually have to do something for you to win the fight, which, I mean, that makes more sense in a general perspective. If I have a street fight with Andy and he takes me down and lays on me for 5 seconds, for 5 minutes, but in those last 5 seconds I stood up and rocked him, who are you going to say wins? You're going to say that I won. You're not going to say that Andy won that street fight. He laid on me, laid and prayed, while I actually landed something. That just makes perfect sense, and I love the judging criteria changing to that. But we are seeing that sometimes it isn't so well, and I would like to talk about the main event. Now, you Dricus fans, do not attack me, please. That was hurtful. Sean Strickland was messing up that eye horribly, but due to the judging criteria, you have to see it as he did that in 1 round, which is not true. Sean Strickland was landing his jab every 5 rounds, and he was getting the damage of the eye and worse. Yet, he did not get that. He did not get that on his judges' scorecards because that laceration happened in the 2nd or 3rd round. But in the 4th and 5th, he won't get the same credit. If you're trying to get what I'm saying, that's how the judging criteria is right now. That if you do get a cut on the eye or something like that, when you got it in that round, that's when it matters. If in the 3rd round I hit that cut again, that won't do as much significance as if when I did open up the cut in the 2nd, which I think is kind of bullshit. If you look a side-by-side comparison of Sean Strickland and Dricus, you're going to tell me who won, and you're going to tell me that Dricus somehow won that. Dricus's eye was messed. It was horrible. It looked disgusting, but Sean Strickland only got credit for that 1 time. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and say Sean got robbed, blah. I thought Sean won. I can understand why people think Dricus won, but I personally see that Sean Strickland won, and the only reason I'm giving this example is because of the fact that it just happened. I can recall to that. I can also think of other times, but I just want to be specific, and this is a fight that's in my mind. But we're seeing that sometimes the judging criteria is very inconsistent with that, because you'll get people who do get a laceration and they'll tally it for the rest of the fight, which is kind of like what happened with Movsar Evloev versus Arnold Allen. Movsar was winning that fight, and I thought he did win it. But for him to say that he won all 3 rounds and all those judges to say 3 rounds is kind of ridiculous. Arnold Allen put up a really good fight, and he should get the credit that he deserves because he is a monster among men. It doesn't help that in that fight, we're kind of counting as lacerations and cuts and everything throughout the whole entire fight. And it just makes no sense. I need consistency in this judging criteria. And that's why I think the point system is great, but the actual criteria of what it is needs to be changed to a more consistent standpoint. There's too many inconsistencies, and I don't know if that's the criteria or it's the fucking buffoons that are judging based off this criteria. Which leads me to my next example, and which leads me to my next fucking rant, which is these judges should not have jobs. It is ridiculous that you are giving these 3 guys, or 3 women, or 3 whatever, 3 fucking helicopters, you're giving them these opportunities to fuck up people's lives. There are a lot of these fighters who are living paycheck through paycheck, and they need to win this fight. And they won't win because you saw this fight one way while 100% of the other side saw it the other way, and you are sitting here you are accountable to that loss. Yet there is no post-fight interview, there is no media attention to these judges, and I think that is the first thing that needs to be changed. I would love to have a judge come into a room, come into a press conference, and explain what the fuck is going through their head and why they thought that that person won. That makes way better. That holds these judges accountable, because for right now, they can do whatever the fuck they want and just go home. Imagine at your job, you proceed to completely throw everything. Say you're a food runner and you don't run any sort of food and you get no issues. You just are able to go back home scot-free. How pissed off would you be if I worked with you? How pissed off would you be if you were working with that said food runner and now you have to run all this food? I mean, that is what's going on. You're getting these judges who, at some points, at this rate, they're not even looking at the fight. They just go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and they just pick whoever they want to win. Or they see a Russian and they already have them winning. There has been so many fights that I have thought one person won, but because the other guy was a Russian with a chin strap, they gave him that fight. And that's ridiculous. They automatically give people, these Russians, once they get a takedown, they won that round. They won that round easily. Even though they did nothing with that takedown, they won that round. You're seeing that a lot. And the judges need to be changed to actual MMA fighters. I know that Sal D'Amato, I know that all these guys, Derek Clearly, they don't fucking train a day in their lives. They have no idea what training is. They have no idea what the sport is at this rate. It is so easy to be an MMA judge. All you have to do is apply. It's a fucking like it's on Indeed at this rate, where you can just apply to be a UFC judge, apply to be an MMA judge, and you might not be knowledgeable in the sport, and you get to determine people's lives. You get to determine people's paychecks, and you might not even be knowledgeable about the sport. That is ridiculous. And I think the first issue, and the first main issue, is start having a background check. Start having MMA fighters or people who aren't in fight camp. I would love to see somebody like, Max Holloway, or somebody that isn't in the fight game anymore, or somebody that is out of camp, judge these fights. That way, you can actually have, first of all, these fighters can have a side job, which is MMA judging, which they can get paid more. And on top of that, they won't be shitty judging. There won't be as much of a mess in the judging criteria, because you will have people who know how to feel a jab, who knows what a takedown feels, who knows what an overhand feels. They will know all those feelings, and they will rate it based on what they have felt. If you're telling me Max Holloway or Justin Gaethje or fucking Tai Tuivasa or whatever, all these fighters start judging, you're telling me the judges won't be as messed up, though we will never hear another robbery ever again, unless it's favoritism. But if that's the case, you can be able to tally up and round up people who you are not going to give this guy a certain edge. That's how you can do it. If commentators cannot be as biased, like Dominic Cruz, Paul Felder, and all them, We should have judges that aren't as biased. I'm saying, and I think that is my main fix to this, is having UFC fighters or UFC legends be able to do these MMA judging events and be able to get maybe a little bit of side money, so that we don't have to hear Sal D'Amato give some stupid scorecard ever again, and we don't have to hear Derek Clearly snore and then wake up in the 5th round and judge who won that 5th round and give it all to them. I personally think that is what it should happen. Guys, if you have any ideas of how to fix this judging thing, leave it in the comments. I would love to talk to you guys about that. Please let us know what you want to see next. I'm super open for breakdowns. I'm super open for any sort of MMA ideas. Just let me know in the comments. It's been Studs.